I recently asked on Instagram what people thought about other people with a lot of money. And I got some interesting responses. Things like, oh, must be nice. They must have been in the right place at the right time with the perfect circumstances. They probably inherited it. And they had all these thoughts about, oh, lucky them. It was in the cards for them. It's not in the cards for me. And this really matters because how you think about really anything affects everything you do. I mean, think about it. If you were to think the thought, they had the perfect circumstances and it was the right time in the right place, you are kind of implying that you don't have the right circumstances and you're not in the right time or you're not in the right place. And that's going to make you feel maybe resentful, maybe jealous, or even, hopeless. And what are some things that you might do when you feel hopeless? I know I would be angry. I would feel sorry for myself and I probably wouldn't take a lot of action at all. And that's a really sad life to live. And so I wanted to share with you how I was raised thinking about people with a lot of money. And I think it really set me up very subconsciously, not intentionally, but subconsciously, to think really highly of people that have a lot of money and that it was possible for me as well. When I was 8 years old, I went to a friend's house and she had a very different house than mine. She had a 4-car garage. She had a walk-in pantry. There were family photos of her on vacation with her family in all these different places. And I came home and I shared with my dad about it. And his question to me was, well, do you know what her dad does for a living? And I said, I'm not sure. And his response was, well, he's probably in sales and he helps a lot of people. So every time I saw somebody with money, whether it was a big house on the beach or they had a really nice car, my two thoughts were, what do they sell and how do they help people? What do they sell and how do they help people? Now, the reason the sales part matters a lot is I think that this subconsciously kind of plays in my brain like, I need to know how to sell. When you are successful and you do well in life, you've had to get someone to take some sort of action, whether it is to buy your product, whether it's to have someone, join your team, recruit an amazing employee, get board of directors excited about what you're doing, or even selling your company to one person. The underlying thread is sales and persuasion. If you were to ask someone who's, well off and retired, ask their story, they almost always started out in some sort of sales. Even if they're like an inventor, the inventor isn't the one that makes a lot of money. It's the one that takes it to market. There's Steve Jobs and then there's Steve Wozniak. Steve Wozniak is the one that made the computer, but Steve Jobs is the one that sold the computer. And we all know Steve Jobs much more than we know Steve Wozniak. Another thing I think that's important right here is it helps a lot of people. They help a lot of people. When I talk to people on Instagram, what I found is that there was an underlying feeling of guilt, an underlying feeling of they shouldn't do something, they shouldn't have money. And it's just so fascinating to me because, you probably wouldn't feel guilt if you won the lottery, right? You feel like you deserve to win the lottery because you bought some lottery tickets. But when you win money, there's really only one person that wins, the one who wins the money. But when you earn money, when you make money, there are two people that win, the one that makes the money and the one that receives the value. So really, you should feel the most proud and the least guilty when you actually make money by helping people. It is very hard, almost impossible for a successful business person to be selfish. It's very hard. If we could do everything on our own, if we could make our own clothes, grow our own food, build our own houses, all we would be doing is thinking about ourselves and how we would survive the next day. But the people who are like niched down and they have a craft, they are thinking about how can I get it into the hands of people. I believe, my personal beliefs is that money is a way for God to incentivize us to continue to do what we are doing, which is to serve his children. There is no greater feeling than to be able to take what you have been given, the gifts you've been given, and taking it into the hands of people to make their lives better. Now, these two thoughts right here, thinking about people with money as people in sales and that they help a lot of people, that should be really encouraging for you. Because instead of thinking, well, it's just in their cards, they just had the best circumstances, that feels very hopeless. This feels like something you can do. It feels like something like, hey, I love helping people and I can help people and I can learn how to sell, because sales is nothing more than a skill set. It is something you can absolutely master, and it is something that will carry with you over any part of your life, whether you're a parent, you are a coach, you are a teacher, you are selling a product, you are leading people. This skill set is what makes it all work. And hopefully this makes you feel very hopeful that you too can earn a lot of money and you have deserved to earn a lot of money because of the work that you do.